Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Kenny turned the stream on last night to discuss in some detail the mistakes that OpTic made to lead to their underwhelming placement at Major 1 in Madrid. Kenny does not absolve himself entirely of blame, but certainly does imply that there were certain mistakes being made on the map as to why they've made the decision to get rid of Huke and bring Pred back into their roster seemingly for the rest of the season. Is this fair? What do we think about this whole Huke getting dropped situation, especially because Kenny arguably was their weakest performing player over the last few weeks? Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for all the great support over the last few days as well. We're going to begin just about here real quick with some lineman cards. This was the Minnesota Rocker. They placed top 6 this tournament, of course. They had a decent run. They could have, of course, even done better had they actually pulled off the full sail 5-0 to 6-5 comeback on that red card search and destroy against Miami. And of course, at that point, they'd have been top 4. They'd have played Ravens maybe to get to top 3. I mean, it would have been pretty mega. But yeah, they also played well at the minor. In addition, we know that we call these guys, a gritty team because they never seem to say die. And their search was 12-9 this stage. Their control was 6-7. Honestly, they played pretty well during the Major 1 cycle. Estriel really came to life towards the end of the Major 1 stint. Really impressed by him. I think he's only going to get better and better. I think he was excellent towards the end of last year as well. Nero, I mean, look, he's Nero. He's going to have his ups and downs. He's going to have his absolutely cracked at map 1s, and then sometimes it's going to fall off a little bit. Geo was kind of up and down. I'm not surprised that his numbers are 1.06, 1.05, 1.08. That's how it feels like watching Geo in terms of his average, but the way that he gets there is not always by dropping those numbers every series, right? He's often up or he's sometimes down. Paulix, of course, did not have a good stage, certainly online. He did prove himself a bit better on LAN, and Paul did tweet out that, this bounce back is going to be legendary, which sometimes is said after you get dropped, but he's not been dropped. So, presumably, he's getting kept and they're going to, well, he's not been dropped yet. And presumably Rocker, if they were going to make a change, they may already have confirmed it. But yeah, so Paul is on thin ice to say the very least. And I'm kind of surprised that the likes of maybe a Lunas or even an Encourage or even a Felony. I thought Fellow would be a potential good option for this team because he'd add some leadership into the mix as well. It's not like Paul doesn't have years of experience. He does have a good, couple of years in the CDL, but not to the same extent that a guy like Fellow does, who's been playing well in challenges and is an AR. So I thought that was something they might consider, but maybe not. I mean, their results aren't horrific. They're looking okay in terms of CDL points. They went 6-8 stage 1. But if they want to get better, because this Estriel, Nero, Geo trio is a trio that they've done pretty well, I'd say, to put together, Rocker, really, compared to the fact that some of these guys could have gone to arguably better theoretical teams. So I think they'd be wise to try and maximise what they can get out of that, but intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. But let's dive back into the OpTic stuff, right, because wow, this has been a crazy timeline over the last few days. Huke is gone, Pred is back in, if you have been living under a rock. I believe Kenny said on stream yesterday that the intention anyway is, and of course it would be, for Pred to be there for the rest of the season, right? Because Huke, I mean, let's be honest, a couple of weeks ago, Shotzzy was saying that Pred weren't ever coming back, and now he is. So I don't know what changed. We believe that, well, at least according to what Formal said that we discussed yesterday, that Formal said that Shotzzy and Pred were the ones that had the discussion. Formal actually, I think, went on to say as well that Pred had effectively messaged Shotzzy after their result and said, hey, it's time to get me back type thing. And then Shotzzy was potentially the one who, made that decision. That's the way the team was going to go. Shotzzy, of course, yesterday came out and said there's nothing of the sort like that, or at least he said that's not how it was. This was, the full one that we saw yesterday, saying that's not how it all went down. And actually, the other teammates were potentially involved in that whole saga as well. I think it's also worthy of note, because many are suggesting this, that hang on a second, Pred, I mean, the theoretical, official line from OpTic, they don't really said anything official, but the official line is, at least from Pred, that, he was suffering with issues with relation to mental health. He was going to go back to Australia, out of the team for some time, take care of himself, and then he was going to come back when he was ready. Of course, there's other debates on whether there was more to it than meets the eye, but the question that many are asking is, well, is Pred actually ready to come back? Is there other issues that are going to re-emerge? My understanding is that Pred, from, you know, as soon as he was out of the team, he wanted to come back in, not even just to that team, but also elsewhere. And this idea of Pred maybe messaging Shotzzy to say, hey, do you want me back? And some, you know, maybe fans are worried that, okay, is Pred actually ready to go? Like, is he just, you know, trying to get back into the league by any means necessary or whatever? And that's fair enough. But my understanding is that Pred has been putting the feelers out there for teams that may be interested for a very long time now. So at least in Pred's eyes, he's been ready to come back for a very long time. I think very shortly after he was dropped is my understanding. And I think it should work out for OpTic. The issue is they're probably going to be somewhat under practice going into Major 2, because by the time Pred gets there, maybe it's going to be Tuesday by the time they get to scrimming. And then there's only a couple of days before they play FaZe, who just won the most recent major in pretty dominant fashion. So lots of the blame, of course, was falling to Shotzzy for making this decision. And you can argue blame, whatever. As I said yesterday, it is business at the end of the day, as well as Shotzzy and Huke get along. And even I think that, you know, Tommy made a good point on this, Tommy Zuma, that the people, the fans, they complain about the friendship cheese for certain teams, but then, you know, when people like Shotzzy make a decision which is against the friendship cheese, right, a business decision in terms of what he thinks is best for the team, then people complain about it. So you can't really win at the end of the day. Now, was it only Shotzzy who made this call? I doubt it. I think Formal implied that Dashy didn't really have much to do with it. He's just kind of along for the ride. But Kenny, Karma, you know, the coaching staff, certainly Kenny, you'd think would be involved to some great extent. So Kenny turned the stream on yesterday, was talking about a couple of interesting things, mainly breaking down what happened during their Major 1 run. So I've got a couple of clips to share from this here, and I thought it was pretty interesting, mainly just looking at a couple of the specific moments where things went wrong. Now, I know that people have watched this Kenny stream and come up with different interpretations, because some people say, and I do get this interpretation, that, oh, well, here goes Kenny again. He won on a 16 death streak at the end of that Heretic Skyline hardpoint, and he's blaming Huke for all the problems and all this stuff. And look, I get that perspective, I get that argument. At the same time, I also understand Kenny saying that, look, he's not absolving himself entirely of blame. He knows that he's not played well enough, but he also definitely implies in many moments that decisions that Huke made on the map, decisions that his SMG duo made on the map, potentially because of this, you know, idea around this unstructured style that Huke likes to play and that Kenny doesn't necessarily like, was affecting him and affecting the team to some degree. Now look, did Huke make Kenny go 2-in-21? No. And Kenny didn't really explain that massively, more so than just, you know, he was running into gunfights. And it happens. I mean, Scrappy had 6 kills on a Hacienda, right? Like, it happens. You have a bad stint. But equally, of course, there are fans going to look at this and say, well, let's hear Huke's side of the story rather than just Kenny's.
Let's see. What did we talk? We talked about like this, like, because in this gunfight, like, this is one that we talked about, because I kind of brought it up after, like, so our idea on this rotation was to make sure we get top middle control, which is like, obviously that's what every team does. Make sure they can't go top middle, they can't rotate it new. So me going top middle right here, boom, I chow this shit. So I shoot this guy. I don't know how to kill this guy. He's one shot. I kill this guy. So in this moment, I said one shot top middle. I see my teammates here, right? So I look, I can tell they're here because of how the comps are happening. So when I'm calling this guy one shot top middle, I only hold the right angle. Why? Because I'm thinking if he chows my left, there's no way in hell my teammates don't shoot them in the side. So you can tell how my my comm is like I got kind of like high pitched because I'm like, what the fuck, hello? You know what I mean? That's like kind of what I want to say. Like, what the fuck, hello? He's right there. But it's like but like if you listen to it, Brandon calls that there's 2 at old. So then both of them, both Ann and Kyla, both react to that comm. You see what I'm saying? So then, like, people be like, "Oh, Ken's his ass. He just lost a gunfight." But I'm expecting me to have help. Like, if my teammate responded to Ken, that's all you. That's your gunfight. That's all you had to win. That's your one. Then I play it completely differently. Then I know I cannot get myself shit timing and play off a snap. But I'm playing off this to like shoot him on the side, and he chows my teammate. You see what I'm saying? So like this is just like, but it's not like their fault. It's not like it's a bad play by them because they both react. They just react to the wrong person. They react to Brandon. Brandon said there's 2 on old. old does not matter when there's 3 seconds on new. You see what I'm saying? Like, and even then, like, only one of them had to look left. So now I'm like, what the fuck? We lose the rotation. Boom. Game flips on the head. We're down, what, 20 points? We had no rotation. But then, like I said, the only reason I could say that, like, it was a bad play by us because of the fact that we, I mean, because they break, like, in this moment, I promise you, when Preston spawns here, this whole LAG roster is licking their fucking fingers, and then they know exactly, like, they know, like, oh, what the fuck, they didn't block. Like, they're literally licking their fingers. That's it. This is like,
I'm gonna try to make this mixy. Look at the spawn. Coming in from Priestahh because Shotzzy gets.
Here, look, and then Brandon dies, and our whole hill's broke. Could have been tie game, exactly. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like I said, this is like a mistake, but it's not like. To be fair, I think this is like a super bad mistake because in the moment you should be playing a hard block, but the thing is, like, if Kylie thought that this was blocking from here, I can't even argue that. But I will say, if I was in this moment, I would probably back up deep. I'm like, okay, we have new guarantee. You can see me. I look towards the right because I'm like, okay, new is good. But then I realize, I look at the mini map, I'm like, nobody on our team's near new. I look at me, look how branded I look. Because I'm like, wait, the hill's white. I'm going to go hit hill. Boom, I die. I know I'm going to die if there's a guy here, but I'm banking that he's not there because they have no kills. So then let's keep watching. Hill P2. Boom. I spawn up. Look at where I spawn. I hit the hill again. Look, I go here. I hit the hill again. So I know this might sound brain dead to a lot of y'all. In no world should your teammate die twice before anybody else dies. That is impossible. It looks like we're playing S&D and we're not even going to the new hill. And honestly, this is like why we were asked at hardpoint, because we were just literally simply overthinking the situation. Like, we're overthinking the fuck out of the situation, and we're kind of like looking for ghosts because we're expecting people to be in certain places that they probably should be, but they're not there. So then it's like, once you get there and you don't see anybody, it's like, okay, and now at this point I'm just gonna play my own kill. But then at that point it's like, okay, well, they're just soaking so much time.
So I understand why people are going to come at Kenny for this, right, and kind of criticize him and say, like, he was their worst player for some time, Huke was looking the best on LAN, but I think there is a bit more to that than meets the eye. And it wouldn't be the first time when Huke is getting criticized for a play and decisions that he makes on the map. And like, if there's any player in the league, I think, who would not like to play with Huke, Kenny's right up there. I'm not gonna lie. With the way that they approach the game, I think it's an issue. I mean, they actually played together back on Los Angeles Thieves at the end of the Cold War season with all the drama that happened there when Huke was in the team and everything. And it just didn't go well. And it's seemingly not gone well this time either. So in Twitter, your thoughts in the comment section below. I totally get the people that say, well, Huke played the best and Kenny didn't, so it should have been the other way around. I think there's a bit more nuance to it than that. And I think, like, Coach Karma, if you asked him about it, and maybe we'll hear his perspective at some point, I would very much be inclined to say he would agree with that. But yeah, in Twitter, your thoughts in the comments. Because Huke's a great player, there's no doubt, but it's just every year these issues do emerge of, you know, I mean, even back in the Cold War days when this first emerged, why Huke was on Thieves in the first place was because Dallas dropped him because, as Kremp and Rambo said, you know, look at the minimap, right? The answers are all in the minimap with the decisions that are being made. And it wasn't just Huke making errors, it wasn't just Huke playing bad, and online they were still fine. Maybe that more unstructured style tends to work there, but they couldn't translate it to LAN. They couldn't get any degree of consistency, which Huke's teams have massively suffered with in recent years as well. And I think for OpTic, it was almost a bit of a no-brainer to go back to the team that they previously had. Unfortunately, it's taken this very strange stage with Pred out and Pred back in and what's going on. And as I said a few minutes ago, sure, Pred has been keen to return for some time and clearly feels like he's ready and able to return for some time. to my understanding anyway. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be all, sunshine and rainbows at OpTic again, because, when things go wrong, as they clearly did back in December, there's always going to be a little bit of underlying concern, I would say. But massively into your thoughts in the comment section below. Is Kenny just making excuses? Have OpTic made the right call? Probably on this one, time will only tell. But very much into your thoughts in a comment. As I say, FaZe, they play one game this upcoming next weekend, and after that game, they play OpTic for potentially breaking the win streak record. So, but as I say, OpTic aren't going to be massively practiced in theory going into that one. But very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.